Do not rush this. Because what is about to be exposed is not a face. It is a pattern. Archangel Michael speaks with authority, not panic. The one stealing from you has been operating quietly. Not in the shadows of your house, but in the habits of your life. You expected a name. You expected a betrayal. You expected a dramatic reveal. But the truth is more dangerous. Because the thief has been invisible. The inheritance you never counted. You think inheritance means money. But inheritance is bigger. It is your earning power. Your financial habits. Your discipline. Your mindset. Your family patterns. And something has been draining it slowly. Not overnight. Not violently. Quietly. Silently. Consistently. Michael declares. You cannot defeat what you refuse to identify. So we identify it tonight. The real evidence. Look carefully. Where has your money gone? Impulse spending. Lifestyle inflation. Unreviewed subscriptions. Delayed investing. Avoided financial planning. Procrastination. Fear-based decisions. These are not accidents. They are patterns. Patterns become leaks. Leaks become loss. Loss feels like theft. But no one broke in. The door was left open. The face of the thief. It looks like comfort. It sounds like excuses. It whispers. I'll start next month. It's not that serious. I deserve this. I'll figure it out later. Michael speaks firmly. Comfort is the quietest thief. And comfort deletes evidence by normalizing weakness. You do not notice it immediately. But over years, it erodes opportunity. The house mentioned in the title. Your house is not just your physical home. It is your structure. Your system. Your financial architecture. If your system is undocumented, untracked, unreviewed, undisciplined, then the thief operates freely. No forced entry required. The name being revealed. The name is inconsistency. The face is complacency. The evidence is unstructured behavior. And tonight, you see it clearly. Not to shame yourself, but to correct it. Michael says, exposure is mercy. Because once exposed, it loses power. The recovery plan. You do not need confrontation. You need correction. Track every expense for 60 days. Cancel what drains value. Automate savings. Automate investments. Build emergency reserves. Review monthly. Teach your family about assets early. Clarity replaces vulnerability. Structure replaces leakage. Why this matters? Because if you do not correct the pattern, you pass it forward. And what you call bad luck becomes generational repetition. But when you correct it, you rewrite inheritance. Not just financially. Psychologically. Structurally. Generationally. The suspense you felt. You thought this message would reveal a person. Instead, it revealed a truth. And truth feels heavier. Because you control it. Michael declares. The greatest theft is preventable. Prevention requires discipline. Discipline requires awareness. Awareness begins now. The QR code reflection. If at any moment you notice a QR code appear, or see a link mentioned in comments or description, do not respond from fear. If you choose to scan or click, let it symbolize your commitment to strengthening your financial structure, protecting your family through discipline, building generational awareness. eliminating silent leaks. But understand clearly. Protection is not unlocked digitally. It is built daily through consistent decisions. Security grows from structure, not urgency. The final internal test. Before you close this, ask yourself, where am I leaking opportunity? Where am I delaying discipline? Where am I avoiding structure? Because the exposure is complete. Now comes correction. Comment this word. Exposed. Comment exposed because once you see the pattern clearly, it can no longer quietly drain your future. If you want part 2, where we design a theft-proof financial system that closes every leak permanently, say. Chapter 2 continue. Part 2, closing the door permanently. Do not treat this as motivation. Treat this as construction. Archangel Michael does not shout this time. He speaks with steady resolve. Exposure without correction is wasted mercy. You saw the pattern. You identified the leak. Now comes the difficult part. Closing the door. Because leaks do not close themselves. Habits do not correct themselves. Structures do not reinforce themselves. You must build intentionally. The 3 silent entrances. Every financial system is drained through 3 silent entrances. Emotional spending. Structural neglect. Delayed responsibility. If even one remains open, erosion continues. You cannot patch one and ignore the others. Tonight, you seal all 3. Entrance 1, emotional spending. This is the most common. You feel stress. You spend. You feel success. You spend. You feel boredom. You spend. It feels harmless. But emotional spending disconnects money from purpose. Purpose creates direction. Emotion creates drift. Michael says, every dollar must have assignment. Unassigned money disappears. Assigned money compounds. From today, no unplanned purchases. No reactionary upgrades. No emotional transactions without 24-hour pause. Discipline begins here. Entrance 2, structural neglect. You might not overspend. But if you don't track, you drift. If you don't review, you weaken. If you don't rebalance, you expose risk. Structure requires maintenance. Just like a house. No maintenance equals silent decay. Monthly review. Quarterly analysis. Annual reallocation. Without review, exposure returns. Entrance 3, delayed responsibility. I'll start next month. I'll invest when I earn more. I'll fix it later. Later never compounds. Now does. Michael declares. Delay is disguised permission for loss. Every month of delay reduces momentum. Momentum multiplies security. You cannot afford delay. The theft-proof blueprint. Here is your permanent lock system. Emergency fund, 6 months minimum. Debt elimination strategy with timeline. Automated monthly investment. Diversified allocation strategy. Annual financial audit. Skill expansion for income growth. Written generational plan. This is not dramatic. It is unstoppable. Because when systems operate automatically, sabotage fails. The family protection layer. If you truly care about your household, create transparency. Shared awareness. Shared education. Teach your children what assets are. Teach them what liabilities are. Teach them patience. Wealth without education dissolves in 1 generation. Wealth with education multiplies. Michael says. Protection is instruction extended. Your family's future depends on knowledge, not panic. The real thief in the house. The thief is not a person. It is unexamined routine. Routine becomes normal. Normal becomes permanent. Permanent becomes legacy. You either pass down strength, or you pass down leakage. Choose intentionally. The momentum lock. From today, no income enters without allocation. No expense leaves without tracking. No investment occurs without review. No growth happens without protection. This is how doors stay sealed. The QR code reflection. If you ever see a QR code appear, or notice a link mentioned in comments or description, pause calmly. If you choose to scan or click, let it represent recommitting to financial literacy, structural discipline, family education, long-term planning. But understand clearly, your family is protected through daily structure. Not urgency. Not fear. Not external shortcuts. Strength grows from internal design. The generational seal. Imagine 10 years from now. Your system intact. Your discipline normalized. Your family educated. Your assets diversified. Your structure audited. Your leaks sealed. This is not fantasy. It is built through repetition. Repetition creates identity. Identity sustains discipline. Discipline secures permanence. The final warning. If you return to comfort, if you abandon review, if you ignore reinforcement, the silent entrances reopen. And erosion resumes. But if you remain consistent, your structure becomes theft-proof. Not because no one tries, but because nothing is left exposed. Anchor this level. Before habit weakens resolve. Before comfort reopens leaks. Before discipline fades quietly. Comment this word. Sealed. Comment sealed because once the door is closed with structure, silent theft cannot return. If you are ready for the next expansion, where we design a system that not only resists loss but attracts opportunity. Say. Chapter 3 continue. Part 3, From Defense to Attraction. Do not rush this section. What you sealed in the last part was loss prevention. What begins now is controlled expansion. Archangel Michael speaks with clarity, not urgency. Protection stabilizes the ground. Attraction builds upon it. Many people stop once the leak is closed. That is why they stay safe, but small. Safety alone does not grow legacy. Design does. The shift most never make. There is a quiet moment after discipline begins. Bills are under control. Stress is reduced. Spending slows. And then something dangerous appears. Comfort. Comfort whispers, stay here. Don't risk. You've done enough. Michael warns. Comfort is not peace. Comfort is pause disguised as wisdom. If you stop here, nothing collapses. But nothing multiplies either. The law of directed expansion. Money does not grow because you want it. Money grows where it is directed. Undirected growth scatters. Directed growth compounds. From this point forward, every increase must answer one question. What is this growth for? Not, how much can I make? But, what system will this strengthen? The 3 expansion channels. Every lasting increase flows through 3 channels. If one is missing, growth becomes unstable. Channel 1, skill leverage. Income that relies only on time caps early. Skills break that ceiling. Ask yourself, what skill could increase your value without increasing hours? Examples. Strategic thinking. Communication. Systems management. Technical specialization. Teaching what you know. Michael states. Skill multiplies effort. Effort alone exhausts. Choose one skill. Commit to mastery. Let it raise income without draining energy. Channel 2, Asset multiplication. Savings protect. Assets expand. But uncontrolled assets create chaos. Every asset must have purpose, risk tolerance, time horizon, exit plan. If you cannot explain why you hold something, you are not investing, you are hoping. Hope is not a strategy. Design is. Channel 3, Information control. Most financial damage comes from noise. Trends. Predictions. Fear cycles. Hype. Information must be filtered. Limit exposure. Increase depth. Reduce reaction. Michael says. What you hear daily becomes what you act on. Guard your inputs. Your decisions follow them. The growth filter test. Before expanding anything, ask. Does this strengthen my system? Does this increase stability first? Can this survive without my constant attention? Does this align with long-term protection? Would I teach this to my children? If the answer is no, delay. Delay is not denial. Delay is intelligence. Family alignment phase. Expansion without alignment fractures households. Talk openly. Set expectations. Define values. Money amplifies what already exists. If unity exists, wealth strengthens it. If silence exists, wealth exposes it. Michael teaches. Alignment is the strongest protection. The quiet attraction principle. True increase does not arrive with panic. It arrives quietly. Opportunities begin appearing. Connections deepen. Options widen. Not because you chased them, but because your structure became attractive. Order attracts opportunity. Chaos repels it. A calm note on QR codes and links. If at any moment you see a QR code, or notice a link mentioned elsewhere, let it serve as a pause, not pressure. Ask yourself, is this aligned with my structure? Does this support learning, clarity, or discipline? Never act from fear. Only from design. Your future is protected by how you choose, not by haste. The line you must cross. There is a line between. I am protecting what I have, and I am building what will outlast me. You are standing on it now. Step forward intentionally. Because systems that attract growth must first prove they can sustain it. Anchor this phase. Before comfort slows you. Before routine dulls intention. Before discipline fades quietly. Comment this word. Directed. Comment directed because growth without direction scatters, but directed growth compounds. When you are ready to move forward into Part 4, Creating Opportunity Gravity. Say. Chapter 4 Continue. Part 4, Creating Opportunity Gravity. Read this carefully. Because this is where things shift from effort to attraction. You have sealed the leaks. You built structure. You redirected expansion. Now something begins to happen quietly. Opportunities start moving toward you. Not randomly. Not magically. But because gravity has changed. Archangel Michael speaks with calm precision. When structure is stable, pressure bends toward it. Weak systems chase opportunity. Strong systems attract it. This is the level most never reach. The science of financial gravity. Gravity is simple. Mass attracts. In finances, mass is not money. It is reputation, consistency, reliability, clarity, execution history. When these accumulate, opportunity notices. Not because you demand it, but because you demonstrate stability. Why people miss this level? Most stop at budgeting, saving, basic investing. They protect, but they do not position. Positioning requires visibility and competence. Michael declares, protection is foundation. Positioning is elevation. You are elevating now. The 5 forces that create opportunity gravity. To attract without chasing, 5 forces must operate simultaneously. Force 1, predictability. If you are unpredictable, you are risky. If you are risky, opportunity hesitates. Predictability means you follow through. You deliver on time. You honor commitments. You remain consistent under pressure. Predictability builds trust. Trust builds scale. Scale builds leverage. Force 2, strategic visibility. Not loudness. Not hype. Visibility with value. Share insight. Share clarity. Share solutions. The more problems you solve publicly, the more opportunities find you privately. Michael says, influence grows where value is seen. You do not need to shout. You need to demonstrate. Force 3, controlled risk. Opportunities do not flow to those who fear all risk. They flow to those who calculate it. Calculate downside. Assess resilience. Evaluate timeline. Then move decisively. Hesitation weakens gravity. Recklessness destroys it. Balance defines power. Force 4, long-term reputation. Reputation compounds faster than capital. A decade of integrity attracts larger rooms. Larger rooms create larger contracts. Larger contracts multiply assets. Reputation cannot be rushed. It must be protected. Michael states, guard your name like capital. Because it is. Force 5, calm authority. Chaos repels opportunity. Calm invites it. When you panic, people hesitate. When you remain stable, people trust. Authority is not loud. It is steady. Steadiness builds magnetism. The invisible shift. One day, you will notice something. You are no longer chasing. You are being approached. Invited. Consulted. Offered. Considered. Not because you asked, but because you became structurally reliable. This is opportunity gravity. The 10-year leverage strategy. From this level, ask, how do I position for exponential leverage? Leverage through equity ownership, skill licensing, strategic partnerships, intellectual property, passive income systems. Leverage reduces dependency on hours. Dependency limits expansion. The family multiplier. If your children see discipline, they mirror it. If they see structure, they internalize it. If they see panic, they inherit it. Your behavior programs the next generation. Michael reminds, what you normalize becomes legacy. Normalize stability. Normalize review. Normalize calculated expansion. The QR code reflection. If you ever notice a QR code, or see a link referenced somewhere, let it be a reminder. Pause. Evaluate. Is this aligned with my structure? Does this strengthen my gravity? Act only from clarity. Never from urgency. Your power comes from stability, not speed. The gravity test. Ask yourself, do opportunities approach me? Or do I constantly chase them? If chasing dominates, strengthen visibility and reputation. If attraction begins, reinforce predictability. Gravity increases with mass. Mass increases with discipline. Discipline repeated becomes identity. Identity sustained becomes influence. Influence compounded becomes legacy. The silent power phase. At this level, you speak less. You execute more. You react slower. You decide sharper. You become difficult to destabilize. Destabilization weakens others. But not you. Because gravity anchors you. The expansion warning. As opportunity grows, temptation increases. Overexpansion kills gravity. Growth must match infrastructure. Infrastructure must match governance. Governance must match discipline. Michael says, do not grow faster than your foundation. Foundation protects expansion. Anchor this level. Before ego pushes reckless moves. Before success weakens caution. Before noise distracts from structure. Comment this word. Gravity. Comment gravity because when your structure gains weight, opportunity bends toward you. If you are ready to enter. Part 5, Becoming Unshakable Under Pressure. Say. Chapter 5 Continue. Part 5, Becoming Unshakable Under Pressure. Do not mistake growth for strength. Growth feels powerful. But pressure reveals truth. Archangel Michael speaks with steady authority. Expansion invites testing. Only reinforced structure survives it. You have built gravity. Now gravity will be tested. Not to destroy you, but to measure you. Because anything that attracts opportunity must also endure pressure. The 3 types of pressure. Every advancing structure faces 3 forms of stress. Financial pressure. Relational pressure. Psychological pressure. If one cracks, instability spreads. You must strengthen all 3. Financial pressure. Markets fall. Income fluctuates. Unexpected costs appear. If your reserves are shallow, fear rises. If leverage is excessive, risk multiplies. If diversification is weak, volatility increases. Preparation is not pessimism. It is insulation. Michael declares. Pressure exposes fragility. Reinforcement removes it. Strengthen liquidity. Limit unnecessary exposure. Stress test your allocations annually. You do not fear downturns. You prepare for them. Relational pressure. Wealth changes dynamics. Expectations shift. Conversations become complicated. Silence becomes dangerous. Transparency is protection. Define values early. Communicate strategy clearly. Document intent openly. Hidden tension destroys quietly. Clarity preserves stability. Psychological pressure. This is the most dangerous. Success increases responsibility. Responsibility increases stress. Stress tests discipline. Without mental resilience, structure erodes. Protect your mind. Limit noise. Avoid emotional decisions. Schedule review time instead of reactive time. Calm thinking sustains leadership. The shock absorption system. An unshakable structure requires shock absorbers. These are your buffers. Emergency reserves. Low debt ratios. Diversified allocations. Multiple income streams. Clear governance documentation. These absorb impact before it reaches core stability. Without shock absorption, small tremors become crises. The long-term armor strategy. Armor is built before battle. Not during. Build. 6 to 12 months liquidity buffer. Insurance review annually. Debt to income below controlled thresholds. Asset diversification across cycles. Skill diversification across industries. This is armor. Armor removes panic. The reputation shield. When pressure hits, reputation becomes leverage. Trust built over years opens doors during downturns. Integrity creates opportunity even in contraction. Michael says, guard your name like capital. Because in crisis, capital follows trust. The generational stability test. Ask yourself, if economic turbulence lasts 5 years, can your system endure? If leadership shifts, does continuity remain? If regulation changes, does allocation adapt? If yes, you are nearing unshakable. If uncertain, reinforce. Reinforcement is power. The discipline loop. Under pressure, people abandon routine. You will not. Monthly tracking continues. Quarterly reviews continue. Annual reallocation continues. Skill development continues. Pressure does not interrupt discipline. Discipline absorbs pressure. The quiet resilience phase. There will be moments when others panic. You remain calm. There will be moments when others retreat. You evaluate strategically. There will be moments when others freeze. You adjust intentionally. This difference creates advantage. Advantage compounded across crises builds dominance. The QR code reflection. If you ever notice a QR code appear, or see a link referenced in comments or description, pause. If you choose to engage, let it represent reaffirming discipline, reaffirming structure, reaffirming clarity. But understand clearly, your resilience is built through preparation. Not urgency. Not emotion. Not impulse. Strength is maintained through review and repetition. The unshakable mindset. Unshakable does not mean immune. It means prepared. Prepared systems adapt. Adaptation prevents collapse. Collapse is usually slow neglect, not sudden shock. Prevent neglect. Review regularly. Reinforce intentionally. The final reinforcement principle. Pressure will return. It always does. Cycles repeat. Volatility resurfaces. Leadership transitions occur. But if structure is reinforced consistently, pressure becomes temporary. And stability becomes permanent. Michael declares, the prepared leader does not fear the storm. Because the storm cannot penetrate reinforced structure. Anchor this level. Before comfort weakens vigilance. Before growth reduces caution. Before momentum creates overconfidence. Comment this word. Unshakable. Comment unshakable because resilience under pressure defines permanent strength. If you are ready for Part 6, Mastering Multi-Generational Permanence. Say. Chapter 6 continue. Part 6, Mastering Multi-Generational Permanence. Slow down. Because this is no longer about protection, attraction, or pressure. This is about time. Not 5 years. Not 10. But generations. Archangel Michael speaks with calm authority. What survives 1 lifetime is stability. What survives 3 is permanence. You are no longer building for survival. You are building for continuity beyond your presence. That requires a different level of thinking. The shift from owner to guardian. At first, you owned assets. Then you managed assets. Now you must guard systems. Ownership is temporary. Guardianship is strategic responsibility. An owner thinks, how much do I have? A guardian thinks, how long will this endure? This shift separates temporary success from generational strength. The 3 generational tests. If your structure can pass these 3 tests, permanence begins. Test 1, absence. If you are removed tomorrow, does the system continue smoothly? Or does confusion begin? Clear documentation. Clear allocation rules. Clear leadership transition. Without clarity, assets dissolve in transition. Test 2, Education. Do the next members understand? Risk management. Asset allocation. Delayed gratification. Capital preservation. Reinvestment discipline. If not, your structure weakens in one generation. Education is not optional. It is armor. Test 3, Adaptation. Markets change. Industries evolve. Regulations shift. Technology advances. If your system is rigid, it fractures. If adaptive, it thrives. Adaptation keeps permanence alive. The multi-layer wealth architecture. Permanence operates on 4 interconnected layers. Layer 1, Liquidity. Layer 2, Diversification. Layer 3, Governance. Layer 4, Education. Remove one, vulnerability grows. Maintain all 4, endurance stabilizes. Liquidity. Immediate access capital prevents desperation. Desperation destroys structure. Liquidity absorbs volatility. Without liquidity, small shocks become crises. Diversification. Concentration increases exposure. Distribution reduces fragility. Different sectors. Different asset classes. Different income channels. Diversification smooths turbulence. Governance. Written policies. Decision frameworks. Access documentation. Succession clarity. Governance prevents chaos. Chaos erodes legacy. Education. Normalize financial literacy. Teach early. Reinforce often. Model discipline consistently. Children inherit what they observe, not what they are told. The 40-year horizon. Think in decades. Where will capital be in 40 years? Where will risk exposure stand? Will income streams still operate? Will governance still function? If yes, permanence strengthens. If uncertain, redesign. Redesign is strength, not weakness. The psychological foundation. Multi-generational permanence requires emotional maturity. You must resist. Impulse growth. Ego expansion. Lifestyle inflation. Short-term excitement. Michael reminds. Growth without discipline invites erosion. Discipline across decades creates insulation. Insulation protects continuity. The silent influence phase. At this level, your influence becomes subtle. You no longer chase. You mentor. You no longer react. You evaluate. You no longer rush. You review. This calm authority strengthens reputation. Reputation compounds across generations. The pressure simulation exercise. Ask. If markets decline 30%, does allocation remain stable? If income pauses, does liquidity hold? If leadership changes, does governance remain clear? If conflict arises, does documentation resolve it? If yes, permanence is operational. If not, reinforce immediately. The QR code reflection. If at any moment you notice a QR code, or see a link referenced, pause thoughtfully. If you choose to engage, let it represent recommitting to long-term discipline, generational education, structural review, strategic reinforcement. But remember clearly, protection is built through preparation, not urgency, not emotion, not impulse. Your structure is your shield. The permanence equation. True permanence equals discipline, governance, diversification, Education. Continuous review. Remove review, drift begins. Maintain review, resilience strengthens. Resilience sustained becomes legacy. Legacy reinforced becomes timeless. The final elevation before completion. You have moved from survival to stability, to structure, to gravity, to resilience, to permanence. Now only one level remains. Not expansion, not control, but stewardship of influence across eras. Anchor this level. Before comfort replaces vigilance. Before success weakens review. Before confidence reduces discipline. Comment this word. Permanence. Comment permanence because systems designed for decades outlast temporary cycles. If you are ready to enter the final architecture. Part 7, Timeless Stewardship and Eternal Continuity. Say. Chapter 7 Continue. Part 7, Timeless Stewardship and Eternal Continuity. This is not a motivational chapter. It is a responsibility chapter. You have built stability. You have engineered resilience. You have designed permanence. Now you must guard continuity beyond visibility. Archangel Michael speaks quietly, but with gravity. What is built for one lifetime is temporary. What is designed for unseen futures becomes eternal. Eternal does not mean mystical. It means structured beyond ego. The final identity shift. At the beginning, you wanted security. Then you wanted growth. Then you wanted strength. Now you must want responsibility. Because responsibility sustains what ambition builds. Ambition builds fast. Responsibility protects long. Without responsibility, expansion eventually collapses inward. The 3 eternal responsibilities. To reach timeless stewardship, 3 responsibilities must operate without interruption. Responsibility 1, guard the core. Never sacrifice liquidity for ego. Never sacrifice diversification for excitement. Never sacrifice governance for convenience. Never sacrifice review for comfort. The core must remain intact even during expansion. Michael declares. Protect the foundation before expanding the roof. Foundation defines endurance. Responsibility 2, remove dependency on personality. If your system depends entirely on your personal oversight, it is still fragile. Timeless continuity requires documented procedures, clear delegation authority, succession planning, transparent reporting systems, institutional thinking. Systems must operate without emotional reliance. Reliance creates vulnerability. Structure removes it. Responsibility 3, teach before transfer. Do not transfer wealth before transferring understanding. Assets without literacy dissolve quickly. Teach. Risk tolerance principles. Asset allocation strategy. Debt management discipline. Long-term planning. Compounding mathematics. Teaching protects legacy. Ignoring education weakens it. The 75-year horizon. Extend further. 75 years. Will governance remain clear? Will asset allocation remain diversified? Will successors understand risk? Will reviews continue routinely? If the answer is yes, continuity is alive. If uncertain, redesign immediately. Redesign is not failure. It is reinforcement. The reinforcement ritual. At this level, reinforcement becomes ritual. Annual portfolio rebalance. Quarterly review cycles. Governance documentation updates. Liquidity threshold evaluation. Family education discussions. Risk assessment recalibration. Ritualized review prevents silent erosion. Erosion begins when reinforcement stops. The ego test. Timeless systems fail most often due to ego. Rapid expansion. Excessive leverage. Unnecessary lifestyle inflation. Overconfidence. Michael reminds. Comfort is the quiet erosion of vigilance. Stay disciplined during prosperity. Prosperity without caution invites instability. The silence advantage. At this level, you operate quietly. You do not chase visibility. You focus on architecture. Architects are not loud. They are precise. Precision compounds. Compounding builds permanence. Permanence sustained builds generational authority. The multi-cycle perspective. Economic cycles will continue. Political cycles will continue. Market volatility will continue. Technological shifts will continue. Your structure must absorb cycles without emotional collapse. Diversification protects. Liquidity insulates. Governance clarifies. Education sustains. Review reinforces. The QR code reflection. If you ever notice a QR code appear, or see a link referenced somewhere, pause calmly. If you choose to engage, let it represent recommitting to long-term vigilance, generational education, structured oversight, continuous reinforcement. But understand clearly. True protection is engineered through disciplined systems, not activated by urgency. Your structure remains your shield. The continuity formula. Timeless stewardship equals foundation strength, documented governance, diversified allocation, multi-generational education, ritualized reinforcement. Remove reinforcement, fragility grows. Maintain reinforcement, stability endures. Endurance sustained across decades becomes legacy. Legacy maintained across generations becomes timeless. The final internal question. If you were absent for 1 year, would the system remain stable? If markets declined for 5, would liquidity sustain? If leadership transitioned, would governance remain intact? If the next generation stepped forward, would discipline continue? If yes, timeless continuity exists. If not, refine immediately. Refinement is strength. The highest level. There is no dramatic ending. No sudden breakthrough. No external miracle. Only sustained discipline across eras. Archangel Michael speaks one final time. Guard what you build. Reinforce what you guard. Teach what you reinforce. That is timeless stewardship. Anchor this final level. Before comfort replaces vigilance. Before success reduces review. Before prosperity weakens caution. Comment this word. Eternal. Comment eternal because wealth built for decades survives cycles, but wealth guarded with responsibility survives generations. There is no next chapter. Only reinforcement. Final part, the quiet legacy. There is no dramatic reveal here. No countdown. No urgency. No sudden miracle. Because the highest level of strength does not shout. It stabilizes. Archangel Michael speaks one last time, not as a commander, but as a witness. What is disciplined does not fear time. You began with protection. You moved into structure. You built gravity. You endured pressure. You engineered permanence. You accepted stewardship. Now comes something deeper than all of it. Integration. The integration phase. Integration means your financial discipline is no longer effort. It is identity. Your reviews are no longer reminders. They are rhythm. Your allocation is no longer confusing. It is automatic. Your risk tolerance is no longer reactive. It is calculated. When structure becomes rhythm, you stop feeling anxious about the future. Because the future is being engineered daily. The silent proof of completion. You know you have reached this level when you no longer chase headlines. You no longer react emotionally to market noise. You no longer compare timelines. You no longer fear downturns. You review. You adjust. You reinforce. Calmly. That calm is not complacency. It is confidence built on systems. The real meaning of wealth. Wealth is not numbers. It is insulation from chaos. It is clarity during uncertainty. It is stability during volatility. It is influence without noise. And influence sustained becomes legacy. Legacy sustained becomes quiet power. The multi-generation reflection. One day, someone after you will benefit from decisions you made quietly. They may never know the stress you endured. They may never see the discipline you practiced. They will simply inherit stability. That is the highest success. Not applause. Continuity. Michael's final reminder. True strength is invisible to those who only look for spectacle. The long view. 20 years. 30. 50. If your structure still functions. If governance still guides. If education still reinforces. If discipline still repeats. Then you have built something rare. Not hype. Not noise. Architecture. The final reinforcement loop. There is only one rule left. Never stop reviewing. Never stop teaching. Never stop reinforcing. Complacency is the only real threat. Comfort is the only real erosion. Review protects against both. The last reflection on QR codes and links. If at any moment you ever see a QR code, or notice a link mentioned anywhere, let it be a symbolic reminder only. Pause. Reflect. Ask. Am I reinforcing my structure? Do not act from fear. Act from clarity. Because your protection does not come from urgency. It comes from systems you maintain consistently. The true completion. There is no next level. Only deeper reinforcement. No dramatic breakthrough. Only disciplined compounding. No overnight miracle. Only sustained alignment. You have moved beyond reaction. Beyond fear. Beyond urgency. Into intentional continuity. Before this chapter closes, anchor it permanently. Comment this word. Continuity. Comment continuity because the greatest wealth is not what you accumulate, it is what you preserve and pass forward with structure. This is not an ending. It is a rhythm you continue quietly. Build. Reinforce. Teach. Repeat.